Hey designers, have you ever been working on a part of your experience and you just got stuck and you felt like maybe there was more to the problem that you hadn't considered? Well, in this video, I want to show you the interconnectedness of all the UX skills so that you can understand there's generally more scope to the problem and to the solution space than what we've considered. Hey there, I'm John Diella and I'm here to help you be a better UX designer. Let's dive into this one. Now, for many of us, we do different kinds of design work when we're working on a user experience problem or some sort of digital product problem. And we think in terms of user flows and UI layouts and wireframes and sometimes even the strategy behind what we're doing. But have we ever really tried to tie it all together? We might see a service blueprint here, or an interaction flow there, or a UI layout over here. But one of the core disciplines of a designer, and especially UX designer, is to see all of those things and to really be able to bring harmony to all of it and build from one layer to another so that it all works together. So let's take a quick look at this, and we're going to lay out some of the key skills that most designers use on a day-to-day basis, and then we'll try to figure out how does it all come together. So let's start with UX strategy, and I can't believe I just said strategy. Strategy is such a misunderstood term. At the very basic level, strategy is really a guiding set of principles or a guiding framework to help us make decisions. We can't say yes to every opportunity that comes across our plate, and we can't design an optimal experience for every user type that's going to come across our solution. So we have to define how to best create the best solution for the most amount of people. And it's not an excuse for a really poor solution for some people. We always have to design for optimal experiences wherever we can, but strategy is going to help us to find the best, most optimal path and where we spend the most amount of time when we're generating those solutions. So in reality, we're going to ask questions like who our target audience is. Are we looking at a set of users or a customer base that is specifically around a kind of problem that we're going to solve? And are we going to hold tightly to that problem, or are we going to try to go broad and wide? See, strategy helps us confine and define where we're going to play and what we're going to do. And if you're interested in more about strategy, you can check out a book called Playing to Win. It's really one of the most approachable, easy to understand frameworks. It goes far beyond UX design, but it's a great book, and I'll link it up in the description for you. So now that strategy is helping us define what it is we're trying to solve for and who we're going to go after, it's also going to help us define the area of play and what we're going to try and do and to accomplish. And that's going to come out in the kinds of product experiences we're going to want to deliver, the technology stacks that we're going to lean into, the business practices that we're going to do that are going to support and uphold all of that. So our strategy is really going to define where we're going to go and who we're going to serve, and the value we're going to provide to the problems those people encounter. And that leads us then to one of the next critical skills, which is called information architecture. And this one is often one of the most overlooked, underutilized disciplines. Because we are such visual people, we think in terms of UI layouts. But a UI layout is only as good as the ability to sort and understand the information underneath of it. So information architecture is going to look at the problem space and the users, and over time, it's going to develop a way of organizing and sorting that information in a way that makes sense to the people who are using it and the business that's going to consume it. And one of the important things of your job as a designer is to bring harmony to the fact that a human mental model is going to need to be mapped somehow, somewhere to a system on the back end and the translation of that data back and forth. We need to be able to understand information in a way where both the humans using the system can clearly understand it and it fits with their world, and the data and infrastructures that we've set up in our scoping area of UX strategy will be able to make sense of it as well. And when we've done our jobs really well with information architecture, it sets up interaction design to be really, really smooth. And that brings us then to interaction design. And interaction design is really being able to choreograph a person moving through the system. So a person is going to come with us with some problem or issue in their life that they want to resolve. And those problems are going to relate to some sort of task that needs to be done in our system to help them feel the value. As user experience and product designers, we're going to help articulate and show how a human being is going to interact with the system and how those are choreographed together so that they can accomplish the tasks that they need to accomplish. And ultimately, those tasks aren't disconnected from the information architecture we've established or the scope that we've established, because those tasks should map to some mental model that they understand the world through. And those tasks should be getting them closer to and helping them feel the value that our product experience has been defined in the UX strategy. So even all three of these that are kind of ambiguous and they don't really show a UI, they are already interrelating to help us get to the point where we're ready to start laying out user interfaces. And that brings us to UI design, or user interface design. Now, user interface design, disconnected from the previous 3 skills, really is just a colossal disaster. UI design in and of itself is meaningless unless we have also thought about these other skills. And a lot of times with simple problems and experiences and easy to solve problems, or problems that have been already solved multiple times before, UI design is all it's going to take, because we can kind of sort out all of these other problems along the way. But with more complex problems and really robust user experiences, all of these disciplines separated out but working together in harmony really make a very clean and compelling product experience. So user interface design is actually just creating that layer of interaction, that point where the human can actually interact with the system and touch it and manipulate it and make it do what it needs to do. Now, you might hear me say UI design and be thinking about fonts and colors and themes. That is actually different. That actually gets us into visual design. When I'm talking about UI design, I'm specifically talking about all the pieces and parts that make up the UI in its most basic form. So UI design is really about the composition of the layer that a person is going to touch and interact with and be able to manipulate the system in a way that they can accomplish their goals. That brings us then to visual design. And that's really where we can begin to bring pleasing form and think about the ways of articulating what it is the UI has been laid out to do in a way where it's drawing the eye and it has the right emphasis, and we're including the right kind of tonal qualities with all of the visuals. Visual design isn't just going to be pleasing to the eye. It's not just whatever we feel is going to be good. In fact, visual design is actually going to be deeply connected with the strategy we defined way back in the beginning, because we've got a target audience and we've got people in mind that we're trying to serve, and there's some problem in their life or some solution or value we're going to bring to that. Visual design is going to help us articulate that value all the way through in a way where it makes sense and maps with the strategy that we've defined all in the beginning. Also, visual design is going to use a kind of visual language that is harmonious and resonates with everything else that we've defined. So the kinds of colors and fonts that we use are going to provide a hierarchy and a weight to the eye that's going to lend to the best affordance and signifier that's actually on the screen. It's going to draw the eye where it needs to go. Additionally, it's going to support the overall interaction flow and the information architecture we established by using the kinds of visuals and visual communication to reinforce those as well. So all of these are going to work together. And I hope that's what you're starting to see, because I want to help designers not fall into the trap of thinking that one skill fixes it all, because it's really all the skills working together that really is the superpower that product and UX designers can bring to the table. But there's one more cautionary thing I want to make sure I say. This is not a linear process. We don't start with strategy and end up with visual design. All these pieces and parts work together. You might make a change in your UI design that makes you deeply question the strategy you had at the very beginning. Or you might define a strategy that completely overhauls every part of your visual design that you've created before. Or your information architecture might need to radically alter after you've done some research that shows the way people interact with things is different than we intended. All these skills are going to be working together. They're going to impact each other, and your job as a designer is to be able to wrangle them and make profitable outcomes for people. Sometimes we just want to help provide a better experience for human beings in this world. And that's what it's about. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And that's what brings satisfaction to us as designers, to be able to see the impact on the world and on people in our lives. So I hope this video about the interconnectedness of UX skills has been helpful for you today. And I hope it's shown the complexity of our jobs, because it can be overwhelming, but when we step back and think about all the ways we can solve problems and understand them, we really can begin to make meaningful progress and deliver wonderful experiences to people. And if you're interested in learning more about these UX skills, you can check out this video here, which talks about the critical UX skills, or you can even check out my other video here to learn more about UX and design in general. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Go make something awesome and try a couple new UX skills today.